Emotions are deeply tied to how we perceive the world, deeply tied, and our brain can get it wrong. We can misperceive or underperceive, not getting enough of what's going on due to our emotions. This is why I wrote this book, to help our brain get better at predicting. This is Flavors of Emotions, expanding your emotional palette for a tastier life. My name is Kim Cordy. Together, we explore how to make sense of our feelings through the lens of a chef, understanding flavors and a recipe. I am here to help you refine your emotional palette to differentiate the emotions that shape your world. Ingredients for how we think, feel, and behave. That might sound funny to you that there's ingredients, but I have heard more than one neuroscientist refer to our perceptive input as ingredients. And what's interesting about that is what the brain does with the ingredients. We can get them wrong. In fact, if you've ever had this happen to you where you think you see somebody or something, and then a second glance or a closer examination, and no, it's not your friend or it's not what you expected it to be. Just like in the last episode, I talked about the snake that was really a rope. In my second chapter, which is named The Ingredients for How We Feel, Think, and Behave, and believe, I should probably have put that on there, but the title just would have gotten too long. I give examples of how our brain can deceive us, how we can get our perceptions wrong. And I feel like that is very important. And the reason why this understanding, this recognition of the frailties of our brain is because we can get what we think, what we believe, and what we feel incorrect because it is a prediction and your brain can make prediction errors. Last week was all about prediction, and this week is about showing you how the brain works, how it fills in things where there's a gap missing, or how you miss entire swaths of what's going on around you because of your focus. The first example is this thing called saccadic masking. Could be called saccadic, but whatever. We're not here for a pronunciation. We're here to learn about it. And what it does is blinds you. And some scientists have said up to 4 hours a day. And all it is when you look from one direction to another. So imagine that your eyeballs are a camera and you're darting your eyes quickly from left to right. I'm doing this now as I speak these words. You don't see a blur like you would with a camera. You experience the image in the beginning and the end, and a little bit in the middle, depending especially on how fast your head is turning or your eyes are darting. And that's because your brain blinds you so that you capture just either small moments or the beginning and the end. Pretty interesting, right? Who would think that we could be blind up to 4 hours a day? You can try it yourself. Look in the mirror and look left and right real quickly and see if you can see your eyes go from left to right. Just look in the mirror and see if you see your eyes move. I will tell you, I think the chances are slim to none unless you go slow enough. Okay, great, fun. Who cares? Well, it's just showing you that your brain has powers that you can't control. And another one of those is listening to somebody speak when their lips appear to be moving contrary to what is being said. And it's called the McGurk effect. If somebody's lips, maybe because they speak a foreign language, they aren't moving exactly as we would expect for the words that they're saying. So your brain interprets what the lips look like they're saying, not what the sound waves say. There's a video in the chapter that I've recorded on YouTube. So just if this is your first episode that you're listening to, what I'm doing is recording the episodes from my book. I am putting them on my YouTube channel, which is called Flavors of Emotions, just like this podcast. And it's in a playlist called Yucky, Yummy, Savory, Sweet. And in the recording, you will be able to view that video that shows how your brain tricks you. Your vision overrides your ears. Crazy. It's very interesting. And then I think my favorite video, which kind of gives us an idea of how the brain excludes sensory data. We have 10 million bits of information coming at us per second. 10 million. We get like 40 to 60 bits. And that number varies depending on who you read. But at max I've seen is 100 bits. Still nothing compared to what's available. What drives the brain so that we see or hear whatever it is that we perceive? Our focus. In this video called The Invisible Gorilla, it demonstrates this. And of course, you'll know when you first watch the video that there's people playing basketball and you're supposed to focus on how many times that they throw from one teammate to another. You're focusing on one particular team, how many times they pass the ball. In fact, they said that in performing this experiment, 50% of people didn't see a gorilla come into the middle of the game, pound its chest, and walk off because they were so focused on the ball. But there's still a trick, even though you know that gorilla is going to come in the scene, there's still other things that you may not catch because of your focus. And your focus is going to be on the gorilla. This is really, really important to understand. And I can't stress this highly enough. And throughout my book, I talk about focus very, very much. If you are in fear, you focus on what you perceive as a fear. And fear can be real or imagined. So you focus on that fear, and all other kinds of things are not available for your perceptive input. You've given marching instructions to the brain. I'm afraid of this, so that becomes the focus. Right? The brain's trying to help you out. It's trying to protect you. Now, when you're not in fear, you might be looking at bigger picture, taking in more information that could change your reactions in that moment. You might get more ingredients that change your emotional response than what it would be if you were in fear. I don't want to pick on fear because love can do the same thing. We've all heard about rose-colored glasses, right? I always say it's not that emotions are positive or negative. The outcomes are. The outcome to how we feel, think, behave, and believe. That's pretty important, isn't it? So you can be in love and ignore all of the things that are bad about them because your emotion is so intense, and that's the focus. The focus is on getting more of that love drug rather than trying to step back and observe them a little bit more dispassionately. I think one of the biggest things that our brain can get us into trouble with is hearing, because we have an internal voice. Just like we can see with our mind, we talk to ourselves. A lot of people talk to themselves a lot. I know I do. I have not met anybody who doesn't talk to themselves internally. It can interrupt our hearing. Why? Because we're predicting what people are saying. We think we know what they're going to say, so we're readying ourselves with a response and thinking about how we're going to respond to what we think they're going to say rather than just listening and responding to what they really say. Even when we really know someone, even when it's a long-term relationship, like me and my husband, I think I know what he's gonna say, and sometimes I'm right, and sometimes I'm wrong. And he gets me wrong too. And I'll stop him and I'll say, "Hey, I just need you to listen. You're jumping ahead." It's easy to do, but it also disrupts our ability to listen. Emotions are deeply tied to how we perceive the world, deeply tied, and our brain can get it wrong. We can misperceive or underperceive, not getting enough of what's going on due to our emotions. This is why I wrote this book, to help our brain get better at predicting. Not like it's ever going to be perfect. There's no way our brain could get 10 million bits of information without us having a ginormous head. It would just take a way bigger brain. But we don't need to get it perfect. We just need to get better at managing our perceptions and labeling them and interpreting them. What I am trying to do is to help you to be mindful of how your perceptions and sensory systems shape your emotional experiences, and to be more proactive, to have agency. It's not like a marketing agency. We're talking about human agency, the sense of control that you feel in your life, your capacity to influence your own thoughts, your behaviors, and have faith in your ability to handle a wide range of tasks and situations. It helps you to be stable, to be resilient, to be creative with how you experience the world. According to Oxford University Press, human agency is defined as an individual's capacity to determine and make meaning from their environment through purposive consciousness and reflective and creative action. And that is my purpose, is to enable you, to give you ideas for creative action around your emotions. Creative actions around your emotions. Maybe you didn't think there was a creative way to do it. I think I found one, and it's becoming an emotion chef. In this chapter that I'm talking about today, I refer to several different sensory systems, but there's one that I dedicated an entire chapter to, and it is the sensory system called interoception. And I like to tell people it's how you catch your feelings, but I also like to say it's how you sync up the world, the sensory signals to your body. I hope you can join me next episode when we discuss this system. It's a very, very important sensory system. It is critical to our emotional and physical well-being. We'll learn more about that in the next episode. Until then, if you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, share it with someone. You can find a link to the chapter that I'm discussing today in the show notes. So until next time, take good care.